Okay, so some things that are happening around here. We have an open house happening next week in conjunction with our Qualaware user group meeting. So you're all invited if you want to drop by our offices. We've been here for a bit of time, and but never really had an open house after we moved in. So that's what we're having. We're located above Lee Valley, if you know where that is, Green Bank and the 417. And yeah, we don't have any tools up here, so guys, too bad. You have to go downstairs shopping afterwards. But anyhow, you can sign up on our website. It's got all the details there on Wednesday afternoon. And at that open house, we're going to get a 10.9 demonstration from Kuno, who's going to be signed on from Denmark during the open house. In terms of the GCEA solution contract that we use for that the EA groups or quality groups can use to buy software licenses. We've got a 2-year extension on that, and that includes both services, training, and software. So, that's well underway. The current software licensing supply arrangement, there's a refresh going on with that, and so all of our products, the ones that aren't under the GCEA solution contract, so Qualaware servers, plus licenses, for web access, concurrent licenses, are going to be are going back up on that. So we currently have that, but it's ending the end of September, and we're going through the refresh for that. Under the new one, we're actually going to have our compliance management solutions and components up there. So for organizations to buy those specific solutions, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Last couple of weeks ago, just to let everybody know, I was fortunate to be able to travel to Denmark, Copenhagen, for a conference that Qualaware was one of the sponsors of, and so it's good to, go to the mothership. And anyhow, we were able to talk a lot of things in terms of support and new things coming, and other ways to deliver value. So you can expect to see some more things coming in the next couple of months. I do want to talk a little bit about our compliance management solution, and Jerry's going to probably chat about that a little bit later as well. I think in previous meetings, we've sort of talked about the solution that we used for our ISO registration. And by the way, we just went through our surveillance audit 2 months ago, and no non-conformances, one opportunity for improvement. So a really good result. Our auditor again said best system he's ever seen for tracking compliance and tracing problems, non-conformances, corrective actions, audits, all those kinds of things. So we're taking that solution and we're actually breaking it up into components. So we'll still deliver the whole thing, but we're really focusing on highly automating certain aspects of each module, each component solution. And the first one, actually, we had a big meeting today about it to finalize some of the aspects of the GUI, is around idea and improvement management. So a very simple module so that anybody can log in, register an idea, and then it moves through a fairly sophisticated automated workflow to triage that idea, assign it to the owner, assign it to people delivering it, handle the whole approval process and all of that. And so for some very simple dashboards for managing that, but for an organization that just wants to automate that suggestion box and get away from the info@ email address where things don't really get addressed, this is a way to do that. Next stop for us is risk management and audit management. So those will be the next two components that we'll be enhancing from our compliance management solution into standalone products as well. The only other thing I have, upcoming training. So we've got basic training happening, and that's SSC training in late June. We've got an open course in July. So if you got people requiring, to get started, that's it. We're running a QualiWare Advanced course in mid-August and Governance Workflow Engine course towards the end of August. The other thing that we're doing is we're actually, I think in one of the previous QualiWare user group meetings, but I don't think we had a meeting here since then. We actually have built out a training roadmap for QualiWare, and we're putting together some specific training deals to address those different streams in the in that QualiWare training. So if somebody's more a business analyst or somebody's more technical, we're putting together the courses. Well, the roadmap shows those courses. We're putting together some preferred pricing, so you can buy the whole thing as a package at a better price. So,
and just one other thing, Kevin, the last two courses there are in person in our offices here, as opposed to being online, which all of the other courses are.
Yeah, the business architecture course as well is being taught by Roger Burleton. So I know some people have been on some of his courses in the past. Roger's from Vancouver, and he actually ran the first business process management conference in the world years ago. He's part of a couple of organizations that are really developing new methods of modeling around capabilities and process and just architecture in general. So a very, very good speaker and a very good instructor. His course has a lot of content in it, and it'll be held here in our office. So it's very hands-on, interactive as well. So.
Great. Okay.
All of these are on our website, so you can go to CloseReach.ca and hit the learning and support button at the top there, and it'll take you through to the specific courses. So.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin.
No worries. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. So our next segment is Mike Hart. He's going to give us a presentation on building a successful employee idea program. This segues nicely into what Kevin was just talking about with respect to our new module, and I'm going to give a brief demonstration on that. It's not fully developed yet, but I can certainly give you an idea of what it's going to look like. But regarding Mike's a recognized fellow of the American Society of Quality, the ASQ, with an MBA specializing in total quality management. He's also a board advisory chair for the Canadian Public Sector Excellence Network. And he's developed and taught post-secondary level courses in statistics and quality management practices. He's got over 38 years of quality management and organization excellence, and he's facilitated the implementation of an assessment of ISO 9000-based quality management systems, integrated quality and EHS management systems, and organizational excellence models internationally in both the public and the private sectors. So again, without any further ado, Mike, you can go ahead and share, and we're looking forward to your presentation.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, Sherry. So good afternoon, everybody. I think I've been a regular on CloseReach's presentation events for a while now, so maybe some of you know me, but for those of you that I haven't met yet, I'm looking forward to. And This is just going to be a short presentation about building a successful employee idea program, but we're going to go through all of the components on it. This is basically sort of like the agenda for the presentation. But at the end of it, at the end of today, or after today's event, I'm going to send Jerry a PDF version of the presentation. And although you're not going to see any notes that may be a part of the presentation behind the scenes, in the PDF version that Jerry's going to make available to everybody, there will be speaker notes. I'm not sure if you know the PDF file take on that, but it's usually a talk balloon up on the top left of the slide or the page if there are any speaker notes behind that specific slide. So you'll want to look for that, and it's got much more information on it. So that'll be after this presentation. I'll send it to Jerry by the end of the day. Okay. So the key points in this presentation are going to be these 5. You'll see the kind of plus up there. It just means that there's a couple of slides after that. Before I actually go into the things we're going to talk about, I usually have up in the top right-hand corner or somewhere on this slide where it might help to meet ISO 9001 version 2015. That's for people that are interested in this subject, which is a part of quality management systems, but they also are interested in where it might help them if they're certified, if they have a certified quality management system through the ISO standard. So in this case, of course, for those who are familiar with it, it would, down at the bottom it says 10.3 continual improvement. It just basically says the organization shall have a program to continually improve not only their products and services, but also the management system itself. So that's a given that this would help to meet that. But it would also help to meet 5.1, which is leadership and commitment. And that's where senior management has to demonstrate that they are behind their quality management system by engaging employees, directing them, supporting them, that sort of thing. So very much this would help to meet that section as well. So anyway, the things we're going to talk about, starting right off, number 1 at the top, it says traditional employee suggestion programs. That's a good place to start because that will probably give everybody some memories. I'm sure everybody has some memories of the suggestion box because we really want to go from there and talk about how to really give an employee idea program some power. So the second thing that I'm just going to bring up is a business case for an employee idea program. We'll kind of talk about the things that you could put in a business case, but also in that PDF file that I said I'm going to give to Jerry. In the notes, there'll be an example business case for an employee idea program if you need it. Okay. In item 3, we're going to take a look at some case study examples. And item 4 and 5 are really the attributes for a successful program and the structure and the steps to actually implement it. Okay. So starting off with that traditional employee suggestion program, we're really talking about the suggestion box. I don't know how many people have ever actually seen a suggestion box, but it's usually a wooden box. It's attached to a wall, just like in this little cartoon. It's got a lock on it, and it has a space for somebody to put in a paper suggestion. It's like a black hole. Things go in and they don't come out. And that was the whole idea, or the whole problem with the wooden suggestion boxes in the first place. I actually I had a contract that went on for several years with an organization. I'm not going to name names, but there was a suggestion box, that a wooden one, exactly as I described, that sat on the wall in the middle of the main meeting area. And I asked someone about that, and they said, no, it's not really used. I think they said, I put in a suggestion a couple of years ago. I didn't hear anything back. I don't even know if anybody has ever opened it up. And in fact, there are some cobwebs on it. So the big thing is that whole suggestion box, while it could have worked back in the day when everything was not so electronic. The ones that I've seen don't work very well at all. So here's the reasons why. It's a locked suggestion box. There's usually no training for success. There's very little communication, if any. And what that results in is low suggestion rates. Nobody puts in suggestions because they're demotivated. And there's a big loss, which we're going to see when we take a look at the next slide and talk about a business case for an employee suggestion program or an employee idea program. The big thing is, think of this wooden box with the black hole on top. Things go in, but they never come out. It's not going to take very long before that program is non-existent. So here's what we're talking about, and the reason why an organization would want to have a good employee idea program. And I've seen many times where, in strategic planning or idea gathering, many organizations, they just gather their top people, their top managers, and they discuss things and they decide things. Yet there are tens or hundreds or thousands of employees out there that are working the work, and they know so much more especially about the local area that they work in, than those people that gather in the rooms. And if you don't have a good, successful employee idea program, you're missing out on so much. And up at the top, it says tons of time savings. There's a little clock there. You've got tons of dollar savings. You can see the little dollar icon. And increased employee morale, because now you're actually involving the employees. And whenever you involve employees on something, they gain some ownership. They feel proud to go into work. They're part of the work. It's just amazing. Okay, so as I mentioned before, I've just got a couple of things down here that says innovation is the most important competitive advantage that enables an organization to thrive in today's environment. And that's a biggie. And the employee idea program is designed to stimulate maximum involvement. Okay. So as I mentioned before, when you go and access a PDF file, it's going to actually have an example business case in the notes with an executive summary, an introduction, the benefits, and an implementation strategy, and I'm just looking through it right now, and conclusion. The type of thing that you could pretty well copy and paste and take it off to your senior management if you were thinking of doing that. Okay. So just taking a look at some case study examples of a successful employee idea program. And I try to include from the private and the public sector, as well as, and I only have a couple of slides about this, food sector as well. So we have one from the Canada Employment and Immigration Commission Toronto office. And this was a fellow, Morris, was recognized for suggesting a way to use an employment and immigration report to trace unemployment insurance debtors across the country. And it saved, once they implemented it, it saved $2.25 million each year. Like, that's a huge thing. And they wouldn't have gotten that without asking Morris, amongst the other employees, can you give us any ideas? Is there anything that you can help us with? Nabil, this example was to use a computer program to compare one set of files against another to detect frauds over $1,000. And that saved the government about $3.75 million in the first year. And in fact, I'm going to be talking about a year, savings of a year, consistently through this presentation, because you do have to kind of describe how much it's saving over what period of time, so you can see whether or not this is a small savings or that's a large savings over the same sort of period of time. So usually we talk about what are the savings on an annual basis, and that's what these two talk about. So the next one is just Heartland Foods, so it's a food processor. There were 49 ideas in the first 4 months. And after just implementing 20 of those ideas, the company saved $40,000 in the first year. So that's a lot less than the first example, but perhaps this is a smaller company, and $40,000 is nothing to sneeze at. The next one is the Cambridge Memorial Hospital in Ontario. The staff offered more than 200 ideas, and that helped find $3 million in annual savings. Again, now we have a substantial amount, okay? And it included work schedule changes, smarter ways to offer care. So it's not only in savings, it's helping the organization become more efficient, and it's also in helping the services or products that they provide to become better. And the last one on this slide is General Motors, which is a manufacturing plant. They saved $900,000 just in one plant from employee suggestions. And this is reducing the time it takes to assemble a vehicle. Okay. And another idea implemented, it appeared that it was simple. It added a cart to a workstation to prevent workers from having to walk back and forth between the production line and their workstation. And that reduced the time necessary to complete a task by 2 seconds. Now, I don't know if any of you are familiar with lean tools, but when you have something that sounds as small as reducing the time it takes by 2 seconds, if you're doing that task hundreds and thousands of times a whole bunch of employees during the year, all of a sudden that 2 seconds becomes mammoth. Okay. And this is just one, it's a little bit different, but it's one that I really enjoyed. I just thought I would bring this up. This is Frito-Lay. I think most people are familiar with Frito-Lay and their chips. And this was just one coming from the mid-1980s. A fellow named Richard Montanet, he had dropped out of school in 4th grade. He was the company janitor at the time. He saw the CEO, Robert Enrico, announce a new initiative for all of their employees to act like an owner. So he saw an opportunity. So he called up the CEO's office and he met with him, and he talked to him about the fact that there was no product that was catering to Latinos. And so he took the initiative. He grabbed some Cheetos at work before they had been dusted in the normal cheese flavoring. He took them home and covered them in his own homemade spice mix, a Latino mix. Then he packed them up and brought them with him to his meeting at the Frito-Lay board. The thing is, it was so successful that Flaming Hot Cheetos is now one of Frito-Lay's most successful launches ever. And that fellow that dropped out of school in grade 4 became a vice president of multicultural sales and community promotions at PepsiCo. Okay. Now, this is after he became much more, he went up the ladder also at Frito-Lay. There's actually a movie that has come out, I was told, just lately about this. So it's one of my favorites. It was a mammoth idea from someone who was just the janitor, and it's an excellent example of employee ideas. Okay. So just to talk a little bit about the attributes of a successful employee idea program. I mean, the first thing that you want to do is to give it a clear purpose and objectives. Remember that little suggestion box that's attached to the wall, made of wood, with a dark hole in it. Usually there was no, you could just write out any idea you wanted and put it in, and that was it. That was all the support they got. But if you give your program a clear purpose with objectives, then you're able to train people on the types of ideas that you want to see. And whenever people know more about what it is that you want out of it, then they're likely to be more successful in having their ideas accepted. Okay? So that was the big one. That's the big first one, clear purpose and objectives. You also need a supportive organizational culture. Okay, and that's a culture that encourages and values employee input. Leadership, senior management should always actively promote and champion the program, and they should create that environment where employees feel safe to share their ideas and know that their contributions are appreciated. The next one, user-friendly ideas submission process. This is a biggie. If you don't make it easy to submit an idea and easy for that idea to be reviewed and accepted, etc., then it's just going to stall. I mean, the one thing about the suggestion box on the wall was it was very, very easy. It just wasn't very, very effective. So whatever process you have, you do want to make sure that it's user-friendly. Transparent evaluation and selection criteria. You want to make sure that the whole program is transparent. You want to make sure that everybody understands what a good idea is and how it's accepted, and ideas that may not be accepted, given examples, so that you're not going to have fights in the hallways where, you know, one person's idea may have been accepted, but somebody else's wasn't, and there's suspected favoritism type of thing. And all of a sudden now you might have disruption in your within your employees, whereas before there wasn't. So make sure that your program on how they evaluate it, how they select the ideas, is very, very transparent. The effective evaluation and feedback mechanisms. Again, this talks about having an effective process. You want to have a structured evaluation process that involves relevant stakeholders and experts who can assess the feasibility, impact, and potential benefits of the submitted ideas. So that may mean if you do have a team that reviews the ideas, they may need to bring in subject matter expert guests, that sort of thing. You want to make sure that you're not throwing out an idea that really had a lot of value, but it was thrown out because people didn't understand it. Okay. Here's a biggie: recognition and rewards. That's the whole basis of getting people, motivating people to put their ideas in. You do need to have a strong recognition and rewards program as a part of this. And I have to tell you, recognition and reward can be very, very cheap. I'm going to talk about it a little bit, throughout this presentation, but recognition is cheap. It's a pat on the back. It's a public letting the co-workers know that this person has come up with a fantastic idea, and the pride that they feel about that. That's like worth so much more than money. And in fact, I would say don't give away a whole bunch of money when you have a employee idea program. Again, because you might find yourself in the place where one employee says, hey, you got so much money and I didn't get as much for my idea. I think I should have gotten more. You might find yourself with some disruption rather than success. So if you're going to have rewards, the reward should be in the form of, Tim Horton cards, or at the very most, maybe a trip to the Bahamas if it's a really, really big idea. So efficient implementation and tracking. This is also a biggie. Remember, I mentioned before about the suggestion box on the wall. Things go in, but they don't come out, and nobody hears about anything. The program's only going to work if you have a system where people hear back as to whether or not their idea is accepted or not accepted, and why not, and a transparent program where they can actually see the progress of their idea going forward. And the next one, continuous improvement and iteration. You're going to start out with an idea program using the best methodology that you found, and then you're going to have people come in and give you ideas on how to prove the idea program itself. And so this is a biggie. I would imagine that if you take these ideas into consideration, the idea program a year from its start will be even so much better. Okay. Communication and promotion. This is a huge one. When people talk about organizations and they talk about marketing their services or their products, usually it's external marketing. And so this program really needs to be marketed internally. Okay, a robust communication strategy to promote the employee idea program within the organization, and it has to be continually promoted, and it has to use various channels, internal newsletters, the intranet, posters, team meetings, that sort of thing, not only to raise awareness, but to keep it on people's minds. The second last one, training and support. This is very, very important. The more that people know how to do this, how to be successful, the more they're going to be successful. And the more ideas that go into the system that offer value, the better it is for the organization as well. So training is a huge one. And the last one, of course, integration with performance management. You might want to think about the idea of integrating the employee idea program with the people performance management system when you do appraisals, and not so much that somebody gets a rap on the knuckle if they don't put any ideas in, but that they get special attention in their performance reviews when they do. Okay. So that brings us to the structure and steps to actually implement an employee idea program. And the first one is that senior management needs to provide commitment. If they want a dynamic and successful employee idea program, it's crucial for them to demonstrate their commitment to the program, and it sends a powerful message to employees about the importance of their ideas and the value placed on innovation within the organization. Okay. The second thing is that senior management, once they do that and they set it up for success, senior management nominates a champion from their own team. Now, the reason for this is that even though senior management as a whole is responsible for their management system, they're responsible for the initiatives that are going on within their organization, a champion is the link between senior management and whatever committee or group is going to be taking care of it for them. Okay, so a champion within the senior management team is the person who clears away any roadblocks for whatever team or committee is handling the program, and also reports back to senior management on its success. Number 3, once they identify a champion within the senior management team, that champion creates a cross-functional employee idea review team. And you want to make sure that the review team has departmental representation. And a big thing is, don't forget finance. And the reason why I say don't forget finance is because that financial person will be there to be able to provide ideas on how to analyze how much savings in money or time is being made by whichever idea is being implemented. They have the tools within their department. So finance is going to be a big part of that team. Invite technical guests, like I said before, subject matter experts, whenever you need them for their opinions. After the cross-functional employee idea review team has been created and established, then senior management defines the expectations for that team. They give it to the team. At that point, even though senior management is responsible for everything that goes on, they actually become the customer. And that mandate with defined expectations for the program becomes the customer requirement. And that way the team can they can measure their performance of the program against that mandate itself. Okay, so that's very, very important. The next step is that the idea review team develops the program itself based on that mandate. And they define the process. They make sure to include okay, so this is a word that I have problems with. I'm not sure if anybody else does. Anonymity and confidentiality clauses. You don't want people putting in ideas and then all of a sudden the idea gets lost to other people and other people are rewarded and recognized for it. So you want to make sure if somebody puts in an idea that you know they are recognized for it. And also there are people out there that really they would like to stay anonymous. So you have to have something in your program to be able to include that. Okay. So the idea review team has developed the program and now they're ready to put it into play. Before they do that, they should beta test the program. Make sure that it's simple, make sure it's effective, get feedback from actual employees as to what their experience is. You don't want to kind of just throw something out there and all of a sudden people are complaining about it. You want to plan for success. Okay. You also want to make sure the program's development progress itself is transparent because you want to build employee anticipation. After you've beta tested it, you'll want to train employees on how to actually use the program successfully. You make the members of the employee idea review team mentors so that anytime an employee has a question, they know who to come to for help. Sort of like if you have a safety program, you're going to have safety representatives and employees know who to come to if they have any questions or concerns. And then you want to market the hell out of it continually using all sorts of different ways. So the program is now in play. You're marketing it on a continuous basis. You'll want to use recognition and incentive rewards to motivate employees. They don't need to be excessive. And you want to make sure that everyone is eligible in some way or form. You might have someone coming up with an idea, but that idea may need a team to take it forward. So, you know, you may need to reward and recognize a team. You may have management from lead hand or supervisor all the way up. All of a sudden they're demotivated because they're not allowed to be recognized or rewarded. You'll want to include management. You'll want to include everyone within the organization as much as you can, okay? Including the mentors. You also want to base the program on something measurable so that the improvements are led to where the organization needs them most. And that kind of ties in with the idea at the very beginning as to what is it that you want to, what is it that senior management wants the organization to improve in? And that will lead the direction the ideas will come. Okay. The big thing about this is no more black hole suggestion box. And just to the right of this, it's just an example form, a very simple example form. Up at the top, you'll see two areas that may be involved in the mandate from senior management. One is cost savings, and the other one is time saving. Those are the two, I would say, core things that organizations usually want to save. And you have a very simple form, describe the idea, how much time or cost are you figure is being lost right now, and again, base it on 1 year. And what is the actual improvement? And so just that's where you describe what the improvement is, and that will increase or decrease costs over time. Or show how it will decrease the cost or the time, and figure out the cost to implement, detail the activities and their costs to implement the ideas so that the savings can be realized. And then the last one is just a return on investment. It's a very, very simple formula. What's the return on investment over a period of 1 year? And that's why I say it's important to have at least one financial person on the team, and to have team members act as mentors, because normal employees will probably need other people to help them fill out this form. Okay. Now, there's just on the left-hand side, I just kind of had a couple of things in there. One is you'll notice the logo for SharePoint. Another one, you'll notice a logo for CloseReach and QualiWare, and in between both of those, there's the big cloud thing. So the reason for that is that if you're not going to have a black hole suggestion box, what can you do to make this employee idea program, especially in this day and age, successful? And I just wanted to bring up two examples. One is SharePoint. So SharePoint is a powerful online program that can effectively facilitate an employee idea program. You can create an idea submission portal. You can utilize SharePoint's document management capabilities to store and organize supporting documentation related to each idea. Employees can upload files and diagrams, research finding, data analysis directly to the SharePoint site, so that it makes it easier for people to work together. There is version control and collaboration, so you can ensure that all revisions and updates to the ideas are tracked. You can facilitate collaboration amongst employees and evaluators, allowing them to provide feedback, comments, and suggestions directly on the idea page. And SharePoint allows for workflow automation. Okay, so when you have automation, somebody clicks on a button to say, I'm done here. I want it to go directly to that person for the next step. That makes it a lot quicker and more efficient. Okay. And also, sorry,
quick question. Do you think that regardless of the size of the organization, you need all of these aspects, figuring out the time spent, the cost, the cost to implement, the return on investment?
Oh, I'm just saying that this is just a simple page.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can make the page, you're talking about the example form on the right-hand side, right?
Well, I'm saying, do you think that a good improvement idea program needs to have all of these aspects, that you need to be able to calculate the amount of time spent, that you need to be able to calculate the cost to implement, and what the return on investment is?
Well, let's put it this way. And the example that I have there has the employee putting all that down with some help, right?
Mm-hmm.
So regardless of whether it's the employee that completes the entire form, or whether the form is completed as the process is going along, if you don't have the current time or cost that's or time or money being spent on a problem, on an issue, then you don't know what the problem is. You don't know how big the problem is. And if you don't have an idea of what you're going to save, you're not really sure what the value is of that idea. And if there is a cost to implement, and the cost is going to be more than the savings, and that's, in the end, that's the reason for the return on investment, the people evaluating the idea are going to have to make a decision. I mean, perhaps this idea will save us so much per year, but the cost is so prohibitive that we're going to decide not to go ahead with this idea at this time. So it helps with the decision making of the evaluation team, and it also helps with the performance reporting to senior management.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Did that answer the question at all?
Yeah, no, it did, yeah.
Okay.
Somebody else has a question, though. Vera?
Well, actually, just wanted to add, because saving and cost saving and time saving might not be the only type of saving, right? You might have a compliance issue that you actually have to fix, right? Like a legal issue. So that
Yes.
could be an idea, and maybe you don't want to monitor necessarily the time because it doesn't matter. You have to fix the problem regardless. But
Exactly.
ideally, you do want to monitor it.
Yeah. So that's exactly right. And we're going to talk about that in one of the further slides. There's only a couple of slides left, but you're exactly right. I just wanted to reiterate that this example form, which is a very simple one, and it only talked about cost saving and only talked about time saving, because those were two of the biggest things that you would want to use an employee idea program for. Okay, so just finishing off with, sorry, were there any other questions or comments? We're good? Okay.
Yeah, you're good, Mike.
All right, so just finishing off with SharePoint. You could use SharePoint's custom list functionality to create an evaluation form or a checklist for assessing the submitted ideas. So that simple form that I just showed in this slide, you could create that on SharePoint and actually have a checklist. You know, does it have this? Does it have that? Or what is it going to save? What is it going to help? That sort of thing. Okay. And reporting and analysis, SharePoint does provide built-in reporting and analytics. They have those features that enable you to generate reports and track key matrix related to any employee idea program. Okay. SharePoint also allows you to communicate and engage employees. So it offers various communication tools to foster engagement. Okay. And the last thing with SharePoint, it does have permissions and security. So if you wanted some part of the program to be open to everybody, it could be. If you wanted some part of the program to just be open to, for example, the evaluation team, you could do that as well. Okay. So that's SharePoint. The second one I just wanted to bring along in pretty well the same way is QualiWare. I think most people in the audience today know QualiWare, but there may be a few people out there that don't quite know how it goes, but I'll just be very quick on this one. It is a comprehensive platform that can facilitate an online employee idea program. You could have an idea submission portal. You could create a dedicated workspace within QualiWare for the employee idea program. You could use its repository capabilities to store and organize all employee ideas in a structured manner. You could leverage QualiWare's collaboration features to enable employees and evaluators to collaborate on ideas. And you can define evaluation criteria and scoring mechanisms within QualiWare to assess the submitted ideas. Okay. You also can utilize QualiWare's reporting and analytics capabilities to generate reports and visualize data related to the employee idea program. And that's with the, I think you're going to show that probably yourself, Jerry. And QualAware allows you to configure notifications and reminders to keep employees and evaluators informed about the status of their submitted ideas. It can also integrate with other existing systems and tools within your organization, such as, I believe, SharePoint and project management software. And it has also security and access controls. It provides robust security measures to protect sensitive information that may be related to the employee ideas. Okay, so QualAware, although it may do it a little bit differently than SharePoint, both these programs are very well situated to be able to utilize to do an effective and efficient employee suggestion program or employee idea program. Just one last slide before we end. What else could be added to your idea program? And this is where you had mentioned before, it's not just cost savings or time savings. There could be other things such as areas in health and safety. It could be key performance indicators above and beyond cost savings and time savings that you want to improve upon. The idea could help to bring about the completion of the strategic objective. It could be tied to risks and opportunities within the organization and other things. So just be aware that the more you add, the more complex the program may become. That's all. The whole idea behind this, behind the focus and the mandate, was to get people thinking in ideas or in areas that were important to the organization. So that's one thing. Another thing, add criteria for immediate improvements. There may be people out there that can make they have the wherewithal to do the improvement right in front of them. And you don't want to really stop them. You don't want something to take 2 weeks to do because they want to put it through the idea program. You want them to have the ability to do it right then and there, but you also want to be able to recognize them when they do that, okay? You want to add who gets recognized. Everybody needs motivation, everybody, even management. So you want to consider that, okay? And also you want to consider who was involved in the successful idea, because there is the originator, yes, but there may be teams, there may be technical support, there may be mentors. So you want to make sure that everybody gets recognized, because you want those people to be motivated to do it again next time. And the last thing I have down here is just make sure that you add the rewards criteria, determine what types of success will get what types of rewards. Like I said, you don't want to cause disruption where there wasn't disruption before. You just want people to be motivated to bring fantastic ideas to senior management. Any questions or comments? If not, I say thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.
Thank you very much, Mike. That I really enjoyed that presentation. Very well done. As you were going through the different steps for implementing a program, I was ticking them off as because we have implemented our own program here at CloseReach, and I was ticking off the steps, saying, you know, have we done them all? And we had done every one of them. So I guess we're on the right track.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to give a short presentation on our CloseReach compliance management solution, and I'll also preview how as Kevin mentioned earlier, that we are building our own idea and improvement management solution that will be standalone from the from our CMS, and I'm just going to give you a brief overview of that and what to expect, because it's still in the development stages. So let me. What I'm going to talk about. I'll talk about the compliance management solution. I'll show you a little bit about our own quality management system in that compliance management solution, how we actually, as Kevin mentioned, we got our ISO certification. We also went through our surveillance audit, and we didn't have any issues, and the auditor was definitely impressed with how we went through it, and took a lot of pressure off me as the quality manager, because I knew everything was in place and everything is linked together. So it was really easy to demonstrate compliance using it. So I'm going to do a short demo on that, and then I'll come back to the idea and improvement management solution afterwards. So just for anybody who's not aware of our compliance management solution, it's built by ourselves in CloseReach in QualiWare. And it provides a platform, for organizations to manage standards and manage their systems. For any ISO standard, it's regardless of which standard you're looking at, whether it's 9000, 45000, 27001, whichever standard, it can be built into the compliance management system. So it makes sure that you got the tools to be compliant, and that it has some simple out-of-the-box templates, workflow diagrams, etc., that can be used by pretty much generically across the industries. So from a CloseReach perspective, like I mentioned, we did get certified to ISO 9000. Our management system is entirely in the CMS, where everything is linked together, from our audits to our documentation, workflow diagrams, corrective actions, non-conformances. Everything is linked, and we have compliance, risk, and governance all in the same solution. We've aligned everything with our business management objectives and strategies. And one of the things I did, I really noticed when we had our recent audit, was that we had no paper at all. We had no paper records. We had nothing to show in paper, which is a big step forward from any of the organizations that I was with before, trying to prepare for an audit like that. Although we are a much smaller company, I have to say, but even so, this could be expanded to a larger company. When you're preparing for an audit, it takes several days of coordination and pulling stuff together to make sure you have everything in place for the auditor. We had none of that stress, and we were able to just very smoothly go through everything with the auditor. And yeah, the quality management system is and the compliance management solution is totally accessible by all employees, just at varying degrees depending on the dashboards, the role of the employee, whether they're just an organization employee, or if they're in the quality role, they'll have different dashboards, or if they're organization management, they'll have different dashboards again. So again, I'm going to demonstrate that so that you can see how that all works. So this is our home page. This is what we call our landing page, or the home page of our quality management system. And anyone who's familiar with old versions of ISO 9000 will be familiar with the large binder or book that you had, the quality manual, known as the quality manual, which nobody ever read. And now in this case, we have everything here on the front page. Everything that was in that quality manual can be accessed from here. So, our quality policy, our top level diagrams, which is a requirement, is to have that and show the interaction between the top level processes, our scope, our interested parties diagram, our quality objectives. I'm not going to dig down into these because in the interest of time, I want to get through these slides, this demo, to show you just basically how it all works, and we can get into more detail further if anybody wants to. If you can see across the top here that there are several different desktops, but if I change the, this is the process owner view, but if I change that to the organization employee view, the desktop number changes. Just give me a second. Sorry, that to the employer, the organization. This is typical for a demo. When you go to do something, it comes up with an error. So trust me, the organizational management, the organization employee view shows a different number of desktops. Some of the desktops at the end here go off the view. But each employee has a My Desktop, which has tiles on there that allow them to do different things to show the amount of improvement ideas, which you just talked about, that are related to them, whether they have non-conformances or corrective actions in the system, the processes that relate to them in their particular role, how to submit an improvement idea or a ticket or a health and safety incident. There's the continual improvement dashboard, which allows the employees to submit improvement ideas, to view their improvement ideas, or to view all of the improvement ideas within the organization. We have an improvement idea program, again, at CloseReach, like I mentioned earlier, and you can see we've had, and this is since the beginning of the year, we've had almost 200 improvement ideas, of which 160 of them are closed. So quite a successful program, and we do have a rewards and recognition program where, as Mike mentioned, a very simple program that gives a coffee card to whoever submits the most ideas, and then at the end of the quarter, whoever has the best improvement idea that's voted on by management gets just a larger voucher. So that's been very successful so far for the company. Other aspects of the CMS are our process management, of course, for managing all our documents, and we can see, all the approved artifacts or documents for the company, a timeline for all the artifacts. So again, chart showing when they're coming due and whether or not they're gone past due. Other documents that are waiting for approval for the person who's actually looking at the or viewing it, the user, and then a list of all processes that I'm the owner of will come up when I click on that tile. So again, another dashboard that is specifically for managing and controlling documentation. We have an organizational KPI dashboard, which shows the KPIs for the organization. We have a compliance dashboard, which shows all of the different aspects that are with regards to compliance, so change requests, corrective actions, non-conformances, managing complaints, customer complaints, health and safety incidences, and regulatory and compliance and gap analysis. So, and then we have a risk management tab, which shows all of the risk management objects for the organization. So this is at the very top level, how the compliance management solution is laid out. If I go back to, I'm just going to go back to the home again, and I'm just going to zero in on a couple of things here. So if we look at our top level processes, and this is the new view, by the way, that has come with the latest version of QualiWare in 10.8. This is a new view, and when you're viewing diagrams, you get all of this information that shows up here that with relation to the actual diagram you're looking at. So if you look at this one, you can see that there are 3 goals aligned with this, and they will be our quality objectives. And they're here, quality objectives number 1, 2, and 3. There's a policy aligned with it, which is our quality policy. And then there's 90 different regulations, or actually these are ISO requirements, and they're all listed here. We're not going to go through each one of them, but each of these are linkable, so you can click on these and actually open up the object that they're related to. And then if you want to zoom in further into the actual diagram, you can just open it up, and again, you can see all of the different things that are linked here. And if we want to go down one step further, just for demonstration purposes, from our quality management system, these are mainly the elements that as a quality manager, you would be interested in or managing, and from audits to non-conformances, managing risk, etc. And if you click in the box itself, then it comes up with all of the detail behind that particular object. So beneath this, there's 3 different things here, and these are actually workflow diagrams that are connected here that outline how we actually manage our audits. So we create our audits, we conduct our audits, and then we report on our audits. And that's that's the whole workflow for the audits, laid out very simply. One other thing I want to show in this view here is how the standards are laid out. So we have several different standards built in here. We have ISO 9000, ISO 14000, 17025, 27000, 45000. But let's look at this is what we call the landscape view for ISO 9000. So you can see all of the elements here are all of the sections of the standard are laid out here from section 1 all the way up to section 10. And each of these are clickable so that you can open it up and it can show you what part of the standard and what the requirements are for that part of the standard. There's also what we call a compliance analysis here, which will show, this is a very handy tool for the quality manager that will show if you have good audit coverage for your system. So here we have on this column here, it shows each of these is a different audit that was done that covers that particular section of the standard. So you can see that we have good coverage of our audits, and it gives further information there, what the complying objects are, etc. We also have a gap analysis tool here, which does pretty much the same thing, but will show again the complying object, and it will show whether or not there were any non-conformances against that particular object for within the standard. Sorry, again, that didn't come up easily. Step back. Okay, so that's a quick overview of how the compliance management solution works. I'm going to flip back now to, does anybody have any questions at this point? That's a no, so I'll keep moving on. So what is the idea and improvement management solution? So as Kevin mentioned earlier on, we do have, and as I showed you there, that we do have an improvement idea system built into the compliance management system. But that it does work nicely. But we have decided that, as a standalone, we would like to be a little bit more comprehensive in what we're putting together. We want to keep it simple, but we also want to make sure that it works and covers all the aspects that Mike talked about when he was showing us how to set up that program. So the improvement and management solution, or IIM as we call it, it can be tailored for any organization, regardless of the size of the organization. It's based on our CMS, and it manages all of the employees' ideas all the way from creation, through to the improvement that actually comes out at the end of the sequence, and the benefits analysis that Mike talked about as well. It supports automation of all of the idea stages, so it's automated to move through all of the different players, as it progresses, and that automation I'll show you in a minute how that works, and it's also we regard it as a highly beneficial management tool, to encourage employees to come up with ideas. Like Mike mentioned, most good ideas do come from employees. So it's very important to have the proper tool in place to encourage employees to put these ideas in place. The features of our IIM, it's got customizable role-based dashboards. It has simplified templates, so we try to keep it as simple as possible to make sure that there's nothing complicated and just that intimidates an employee from going in there and putting in an idea. There'll be automated workflows and some customizable reports that will come along with this. We'll have graphs and charts linked to organization KPI dashboards. The name fields within the tool itself will be linkable to the organization's email system, so that you just have to type in the name and it will come up, and then these things will be it will be able to send notifications to people as necessary, and it can also link to the other CMS modules. If somebody doesn't want to get it standalone and wants to buy it as part of the CMS, it'll also be linkable to the other CMS modules. Who are the players involved in the IIM tool? The originator, who would be the person who would originate the idea or create the idea, and that can be anybody, of course, in the organization. There will be an assessor, somebody who actually assesses the idea and decides where it's going to go, who the owner is. Typically, the owners would be functional area owners, but that, I guess, would be up to the organization to decide that. But the owner is the person who ultimately owns the idea and makes sure that they get the right person to deal with it, to implement the idea, to handle it, and they also would review it for effectivity and the realization of financial benefits or whatever other benefits to the organization. And then the handler would be the person who is actually responsible for analyzing, doing the work, and making sure that the improvement is implemented. And then the approver, who is the person who approves the completed work prior to being implemented. And the way we've set it up is the handler or the approver could be anybody in the organization. It just depends on who the owner decides that would be. And then, of course, it would be designated as such. This is just, we have a workflow diagram right now that shows the process and how it flows through all of the different roles and different stages. So I don't really want to get into too much detail on this, but that's basically what this shows. And then that would be something that would show up like I demonstrated in the compliance management solution, where you would be able to look at the actual process flow and all of the detail behind it. This is the governance workflow, which you would not actually see as part of the front end of the system. This is sort of the back end, the engine that actually moves things through automation right through the system. So basically, you can see the five different players there: the originator, assessor, owner, the handler, and the approver, and how the flow of the actual idea can flow from one person to another during the different stages. And these are some of the conceptual dashboards we've already built. So for an organization employee who would probably end up being an originator, they could be originator, or they could also be one of a handler or an approver. They would have a dashboard, something like this, where they can register the idea. They would have a tile that would allow them to see their improvement ideas and any improvement idea that's associated with them. They would also have, a tile that would show them any ideas that are in the handling and implementation stages. And then they would also have a tile that would show them any ideas that are waiting for their approval. And then they would have a chart showing the data necessary for them to, manage their work with respect to the improvement ideas. With the assessor, there's an extra tile added that will, they would have the same tiles as the originator, but they would have an extra tile added to show any of the improvement ideas that are requiring their assessment. And then finally, for the owner dashboard, The owner dashboard again has the same tiles as the assessor and as the originator, but it has a couple of extra tiles, one for the backlog. So basically the idea of the backlog was that employees may put in an idea, but it may not be the right time to implement it. So management would have, or the owner would have the ability to put it into a backlog file, and it would stay there until such time as they would resurrect it to bring it back to life again, at a later stage when they may have the resources or the time to do it. So that idea backlog tile would lead to a spreadsheet that would show that information. And the benefits evaluation is where the ideas go once they're completed, so that the management can make that evaluation to see if they've got a good return on their investment, to see if they have saved the amount of money that they thought they did, or if the idea has been well implemented. So they would have another spreadsheet that would show a list of all of these ideas that are in that stage. I think that's everything. I think I've covered everything that we can show right now. This this solution will be ready, we're hoping, for going through a beta testing, which again is right in line with what Mike mentioned, on which we will do ourselves on our own system, probably in August, and then hopefully we'll be able to release it to for general purposes by the end of the quarter, which is the end of September. Anyone have any questions or comments?
Excellent presentation. This is Gerald Platt. What I'm
Thank you,
seeing is the next step. Not to give you guys more work, but okay, you have an idea and it's going to affect some part of the overall company or government organization workflow. So what as an EA tool you'll need is for EA aware people to see how it affects the enterprise architecture workflow, and perhaps this could help with some of the prioritization, risk management issues.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any comments? Okay, so once again, thank you, everybody. Appreciate, especially Mike. Thank you very much, Mike, for a very good presentation. These slides, the recording of this will be available also if anybody wants that. And Mike's slides will be available. As Mike said, he's going to send them to me in a PDF format, which I can send out to all of the attendees. And other than that, I'm going to sign off by saying have a great summer. We will probably not get back together in this forum until September. So in the meantime, enjoy the great weather that Canada offers, and take care of yourselves. And we'll see you all in September, hopefully. All right.
Thank you, Jerry. Perfect timing.
Yes,
Nice.
thank you. Right on the nose.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
Thanks for showing up, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
See your
See you next
vacation
time.
background.
Yes. Okay.
Have a
Bye-bye,
great day,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye-bye.